Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Let's address the elephant in the room here. I have a baby face. The beard, she's gone. She? Sure. The beard, she's gone. About time. It's getting warm out. As the weather gets warmer, it's harder for me to have a beard because it gets warm. If I lived in Florida or California, probably wouldn't be able to have a beard at all. But it was just something that's supposed to be for the winter anyway. But yep, I do feel naked without it though. I feel it feels weird for me to touch a chin and feel chin instead of beard. No one don't know it. You know what I mean? It's a thing. Imagine what other people are gonna say. You know, people I know. They'll be like, "Oh, what you do?" It was time. It was time. I loved it. It looked like a little chinchilla in my sink when I shaved it off. I didn't want to clog my sink, so I had to put some of it in the toilet and flush, and then the rest of it down the sink. But enough with that. Let's talk about the dude, man. Let's talk about the Big Lebowski as we go into pick 10, 90's 2, number 2. Big Lebowski, and to sum this movie up is just try. So the dude, or real name Jeffrey Lebowski, is attacked and accosted in his apartment for something he didn't actually do, because they think he's a different Jeffrey Lebowski whose wife owes money to this porno magnate, and why I don't know, because she had ended up being revealed she works for him. So why would she owe money to? I don't know. And so, in seeking compensation for the rug, he goes to Mr. Lebowski. This is where we get the scene. You know, I'm not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. I always thought that was his dad, though. But no, they're not even related. But and he ends up getting roped into this whole. When Bunny gets kidnapped, he gets roped into being the one to help with the ransom. Excuse me. Help pay the ransom, take the money, do all that, and then it just sort of goes all downhill. This movie is a hornet's nest of stuff that just happens for no discernible reason other than it happens. Like, there's no ending. To me, there's no ending. There's no resolution to anything. And there's no character development. No character starts out and ends differently than they did when they started. They're all the same characters. There's no big character development. The dude doesn't learn a lesson. Walter doesn't learn a lesson. Nothing changes except for Donnie is dead by the end of the movie. But nothing is really different other than that. It just happens. No one goes to jail. Nothing. There's no conclusion to any single storyline. I mean, the narrator, also known as the stranger, played and voiced by Sam Elliott, tries to wrap it up at the end to give some closure, but really, there's not. And like even the opening of this, when you have the narrator narrating, of course, he starts stumbling his words and is like, I lost my train of thought. I told you enough about him. And then a very interesting scene happens here that I want to talk about and not go into a tangent like I did when I first tried to record this, so I'm going to try to just keep it short. So, the dude is writing a check out at the grocery store, right? The check is dated September 11th, 1991, which is when this movie takes place, 1991. That is 10 years to the day of the September 11th attacks. But more interestingly is that this checkout lady has a small little TV there at the register. And on the TV is one George H.W. Bush talking about Saddam Hussein. So, yeah, That's just a bit of a coincidence there, don't you think? Just a little bit like it's interesting to look back at this and think, well, that's unfortunate, that this will not ever, this will now forever be connected to that tragedy. But yeah, moving on. So basically, after this, he goes home. I think he's getting ready to take a bath, and he's just attacked by these dudes who work for this porno magnate. And one guy pisses on his rug, and they're like, "Where's the money, Lebowski?" And he has no idea what he's talking about. And he mentions your wife, Bunny. My wife? I'm not married, man. He's like, "Does I have money to you?" And they realize they have the wrong guy. They just leave. This is the first instance of an open plot thread. They attack this dude, someone who's seen all their faces. You put DNA on his rug, and you leave. This guy could call the cops, go to the cops, say, "Hey, these dudes pissed on my rug." Give them the rug, they pull the DNA from the rug, and you're fucked. But of course, this goes nowhere. Because the dude then goes to this other Jeffrey Lebowski and then wants compensation from him for the guys really unconnected to him peeing on his rug. And he's like, "Well, no, I did like this scene where he goes on there, he's looking at all these pictures and stuff, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's there, telling him about all the great accolades that Mr. Jeffrey Lebowski has done. And then you see this guy's wheelchair bound, and he has a good point. He's like, "Well, I didn't piss on your rug. So what do I need to compensate you? Well, I just want another rug." And so then when he goes to leave, he's like, "Oh, how did it go?" "Oh yeah, he said take any rug you want, man." And the whole thing is like, "I love that rug, man. It really tied the room together." Just like, so he gets another rug, but then it gets stolen. We find out why later, but it gets stolen. And then, like, the one thing that was really getting on my nerves in this movie, there's a pattern. Something happens, they go bowling. And then something happens, and they go bowling. And then something happens, and then guess what? They go bowling. How many times are they going to go back to the fucking bowling alley? Even when it makes no sense. Because Walter, John Goodman's character, is going on about the Shabbos. About how he cannot do anything. He even canceled the bowling tournament that was supposed to happen on that Saturday. And then, this is towards the end of the movie though, the dude calls him and says, "It's an emergency, we have to go." They go out. They confront the other Lebowski. And then what do? They go bowling. The guys they're supposed to face, Jesus, and the guy who may or may not be Jack McGee, I couldn't tell. And I couldn't find in the credits either. Is there. And he's all pissed off. But they don't do anything. He's like, "I will kick your ass on Wednesday." I'm like, "But you're both there now, bowling." And, much like many plot threads in this, we don't find out if they win the bowling tournament or not. It's just left up in the air like most of those. So after he takes the rug and then it's stolen again, he's contacted by Lebowski and says his wife, played by Tara Reid, Kay, has been kidnapped by Yuri, played by Peter Stormare, German nihilist who in this group have kidnapped her and they want ransom money. So he tells him he's got to bring the ransom money, and like it ends up they're not gonna meet up and get it. They're supposed to drop it off at some point, but then Walter swaps the briefcase is with his dirty underwear, and then the other one has the money in it. All right. And so after this big thing happens, they're chased by the nihilists because I don't know why. They give him the money, they give him the briefcase, and they still chase after him. Maybe they're trying to stop, kill them. I don't know. And then they go bowling. Bowling. I don't know. How many times is he going to ask for a white Russian or a Caucasian? He calls it this two different things. Technically, a white Russian would be Caucasian because the skin. I don't know. I always think Caucasian, American, but I guess you couldn't be from Russia or German and still be Caucasian. But I don't get why you call the drink that though. What is a white Russian drink? What's the way? Is that like Kahlua or something in there? I never had that. But anyway, then I go bowling, and then a car gets stolen, and then this leads them to this high school kid who stole it, right? And when they go to confront this kid, nothing happens. They go there, they ask him a bunch of questions. Walter a million times asks, "This is your homework, this is your homework." Finally, the dude's like, "We know it's his homework, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, we know his name's on it." But this kid just sits there like this. He doesn't say a word. There is no explanation as to why he stole the car, what he did with it, and what happened to the briefcase that was in there. So the money. Walter assumes that he bought this sports car, which belonged to their neighbor. But the whole time that Walter's beating the hell out of this car, the kid is just standing there in the window. And then they go bowling. How many times are they gonna go fucking bowling? Well, no, I don't think they go bowling. They split up here, I guess. They split up here. He goes home. And I think this is where he takes a bath and he gets a phone call. No, that's earlier. But still, like after this, they kind of split up. Because Walter does the Shabbos thing, so he's kind of out of it for a minute. And then there was this other plot thread that kind of gets solved, but then it's also not really. So, like, there's this Volkswagen constantly following him. And we find out later it's John Polito in a cameo, and that he is actually a private eye, and somehow he thinks that the dude is a private eye too, working both sides of this thing between Lebowski and the porno magnate guy. I don't know where he got that from. But it turns out this guy is a private eye representing the Knutsons. Who are the Knutsons? They're Bunny's real parents, who have apparently they've been looking for their daughter, and then Walter shows up and this scene just ends. There's no conclusion to this. He doesn't tell them. Like, he doesn't, like, you think he would follow him, right? But I don't think he does, and there's no conclusion to John Polito's character in this film. It just goes nowhere. Nowhere at all, man. Nowhere at all. But before this scene, so at one point we were introduced to Maud, the daughter of the rich Jeffrey Lebowski guy. She took the rug because it was an heirloom that didn't belong to her father. It was her mother's, and she took it back. And he never got the rug back, whatever. So she's introduced, and she tells him to go to a doctor, and the doctor then tells him to pull his pants down, which we do get a connection to that later. There's some kind of connection to that where it goes, but there in this scene we're introduced to Maud. David Thewlis has a cameo as this guy who just keeps fucking laughing for no reason. It's not. It's laugh. Constantly keep doing that. Why? Why is he there? What is this? What is the point? What is the point? What is the point? I don't know. Another point. Another point. Another point. I know it sounds like I am complaining. I am just trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I liked it. Maybe this is one of those movies you gotta watch more than once to understand what's going on. I don't know. At one point, he goes to the porno magnate's house because the two guys, the porn producer guy, and because the two thugs, one of which pissed on his rug, show up and take him there, and then he's there, and so he writes down something, so the dude etches, and it's a drawing of a guy with his dick out. Okay, I was really trying to look forward to some kind of plot thread here. Turns out they just drug him, and we get the infamous dream sequence. Yeah, oh yeah. And I'm sitting there going, what? Why? What is going on? There's Maud again. For some reason, like she's supposed to be some sort of love interest, but I don't know. It makes no sense. So he, still in a drug state, ends up going to the police station, and apparently this porno producer guy said that he showed up and caused problems. He's told not to go to Malibu again, so he gets dropped off at home. First of all, we get another nonsensical scene where he's driving home in his cab, playing the Eagles on the radio. And he basically says he hates the fucking Eagles, man, and he gets kicked out. And so, yeah. And so he finally gets home, and Maud is already there, and they have sex. And it's revealed that she did it because she wants to have his baby, but with no attachments. She's in this weird pose, and she's trying to conceive, and so she wants to have a baby with the guy who will have no attachment, no responsibilities. Yeah. This is the one plot that we do get a conclusion with, because the narrator at the end says that there's a little Lebowski on the way, so it worked, whatever her thing was. But then that's where we get the Walter and the dude. And so we get this scene. So it is revealed that the German nihilists did not actually kidnap Bunny. She went out of town without telling anyone, and she was never kidnapped. The nihilists knew about this, and so they were trying to use that to their advantage. Apparently the nihilists knew, and they used it to their advantage to get money. This is where I'm going to say there is no conclusion to finding the money. Now you can say, wait, Sky, they explain it. No, they don't. They don't really. So they confront Lebowski, and they claim that there was never any money because he didn't have it. However, there was money taken out of the savings. They say it earlier in the film. Maud says it. There was money taken out of the savings. So there's got to be money somewhere. But then he said, here, Lebowski and Walter, they claimed there was never any money in the briefcase. It was just put there. It was nothing in there. There was no money in the briefcase. So where'd the money go? Maud says there was money taken from the savings. So there has to be money somewhere. But like the rest of these plot threads in this movie, it's just dropped. because they just say, oh, there was never any money. But there has to be. Right? And, to try to put it together in your head where it may be, who knows? Walter has the money. Now, before you sit there and go, what? It is Walter, if I remember correctly, it is Walter who comes up with this big excuse, this big thing about, there was never any money to begin with type situation. I think it was Walter. If not, then I might be wrong. But think about it. They go in bowling. Walter goes to take a piss. He sees this kid walking by, pays the kid $100, steal the car, and ran off with it. Walter hides the money somewhere else. And then, when they find the car, the briefcase is gone. And then there's stuff in there linking it to the kid. But when they get to the kid, there's no answer. Walter just keeps yelling and yelling, and then assaults some other guy's car, which he probably already knows has nothing to do with the money. Okay? Because Walter keeps talking about the Shabbos, right? He was planning on leaving with the money, and he was going to leave on the Shabbos and go spend it wherever, religious, whatever. It's just a theory, but it makes a lot of sense if you think about it, that Walter actually has the money. There has to be money somewhere. They said there was no money, but Maud says earlier in the film that the money was taken from the savings. So there has to be money somewhere else, unless he took the money out, hid it, and then didn't put the money in the thing. Maybe it was a way for him to get some money, I guess. So maybe Lebowski has the money. Maybe. I don't know. But I started thinking about it. Maybe Walter has I don't know. But the big climax of this film is actually a fight in a parking lot with the nihilists, and it ends with Donnie having a heart attack, and they go to shatter their ashes, and the ashes fly back because of the wind and go in the dude's face. And I just went, are we almost done? Why are we still going? And then the movie ends with them bowling, despite the fact that they already said that the Shabbos he was not going to go there, but he does. And he meets the narrator, known as the stranger, and here he's talking to him, and that's where we get the sort of end, like the dude abides, is what he says, and then we get the ending where he says, there's a little Lebowski on the way. But that's the only plot thread that's ever met up on it, is that there's a little Lebowski on the way. So we know Maud got pregnant, but and maybe Walter didn't actually take the money, but I don't know. It's just an idea. Maybe I'm reading into it. Maybe it wasn't Walter that came up with it, but they seem to just assume there was never any money in it. And it feels like the writers, the Coen brothers, whoever wrote this movie, were like, okay, we need a way to end this movie. There was never any money. Despite the fact they'd already said that money was taken out earlier in the movie. Because they had no real ending to finding the money. And I'm sitting at the end of the movie going, where was the money? And yes, you could keep saying there was no money. And I'll just keep saying, no, where's the money? Because there was plot threads that led up to them finding the money, and it went nowhere. Because after they found the person who took the car and the money, they just assumed there was never any money. But there's a briefcase out there somewhere. If we found the briefcase and there was nothing in it but a phone book and whatever else was in there, that'd be one thing. They never found the briefcase. So maybe not money, but where's the briefcase? They never found the briefcase. That's the big thing, is they never found the briefcase to confirm there was never any money. I'm just saying, it's just, it's a kerfuffle, this movie. But I will say it is a middle of the road for me. People hail this as a classic. Maybe if I watch it over more times, I'll think it's better. But for the first time watch, it was very confusing. Keep in mind, this is the first Coen Brothers movie I've watched, so maybe their movies are like this, but it just sort of flew over my head, I guess. But middle of the road. Middle of the road. Alright. Roll the dice. Next one. Seven. Alright, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, oh yeah, it's Rock-a-Doodle. Don't know why I did a musical accompaniment for that, but okay. Met up. Rock-a-Doodle, which just so happens to be on the top of the pile here. Maybe the next one will be Mars Attacks, that's next on the pile. Rock-a-Doodle. I've been wanting to talk about this since I got the Blu-ray. I rewatched it recently. Hell, I could just do a review right now. So Rock-a-Doodle, no. I will rewatch this again, whether it's tonight. It's late. I wanted to do 3 tonight before I went to bed. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll do one more tonight. I'm trying to get these done before Friday so I can put out the Tubi Horror Weekend, whatever number it is. But I don't know. This tonight. Can I? 7. We'll do 7, or I could do 4 tomorrow and 3 on Thursday. There's no Flash tomorrow, just so you know. So I don't need to do a review for that. So I have extra time throughout the day, but we shall see. So, what are your thoughts on The Big Lebowski? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.